new technology and application in the field policy. That means now new technologies are coming and we are adopting this both at the lab level and also at the field level. Now when it comes to field level, what are all the advantages that we can think of when we implement these new technologies at the field level? Now, as we have already discussed, there is a drastic reduction in the cost, analysis cost of the material will be drastically reduced to 98% almost, and the time, because these are, as the name suggests, rapid techniques, so that means time factor is also drastically reduced. Where earlier it used to take hours, now it is a matter of only minutes. So production of portable inexpensive systems, that means cost wise also, as we have already told, there is a cost reduction up to 98%, and since they are inexpensive, they are affordable by most of the law enforcement officers. Now we have understood the word robust, that means it's able to withstand the vigor of the atmosphere, and it is validated enough by a peer group, and the procedures are already standardized. So there is no harm in adopting these new technologies to the field forensics. Now automation also we have discussed about. Now where most of the technologies are processor, earlier used to be manual or man driven. Now they are now slowly converting it to semi-automation and automation. Now different steps that are involved, for example in DNA analysis like extraction, quantification, then sequencing and all, it used to take a lot of time. Now there are rapid technologies coming, new technologies which will integrate everything, and the steps are also made automatic, so that the manual intervention or the errors that can occur because of the manual intervention can drastically be reduced. And these days the use of robotics, artificial intelligence, it is pervading all areas. Similarly for field robotics, field level gadgets also, the robotics are used extensively where somebody cannot physically go, or where somebody cannot take a physical sampling. Robotics and artificial intelligence are helping us to a great extent. Without a person actually going into the hotspot, he can just keep the machine there and it does the job. So new technologies are that way very, very handy for us. Now everything is good, but when it comes to admissibility, because after all the evidentiary value of any evidence that is collected from the scene by the police officer, it will be assessed, because the judge is acting as a gatekeeper. So he will allow only things which are admissible, and things which do not fall under the criteria of admissibility, the police officer may think that he has collected the proper evidence in a proper way, but when it comes to admissibility, it is before the court he has to establish and also withstand the vigor of the cross also. So only then it will stand the test of time, and only admissibility is one thing. If any technique fails to prove its admissibility, then there is no point in adopting such a technology or such a test into the forensic field. Now there are Daubert and Fry criteria. I think you must have heard about it a number of times, and as I said, in that they have mentioned the judge as a gatekeeper. That means he will not allow everything. He will very specifically allow things which are admitted, and things which fail to get the admissibility will not be accepted. And testable. So any method, if you say it is a standard method, when somebody else other than you, if they test, for them also it should give a concurrent, constant result, isn't it? Otherwise, one thing, Sanju is I think joint. Now, finding support to the field claim about expertise. See, demonstrated to be valid. It has to be amply demonstrated, because the judge is a layman. You should make things so clear to him, and explain things to him that even a layman is able to understand it. That should be your language of interpretation. Now, there may be no method is 100% reliable or no method is 100% foolproof. So if some kind of a error, some step, if you are a little careless about that step, you are going to end up with wrong result. If such a sensitive step is there, it is also mandatory that you should specify that particular thing and then calculate the statistic significance of that. Now, apart from these things of Dauber criteria, there is another very important thing whenever we talk of evidences, that is chain of custody and integrity. The defense always in the cross-examination will try to say or try to demonstrate amply that chain of custody of this particular physical evidence is being lost. That means in the records it is mentioned that it is in the possession of somebody, but then in reality it is actually not present with him or with that agency. So this is the kind of theories that the other party would like to bring in and thereby dilute the case. So it is for the prosecution to prove that a proper chain of custody is maintained, and when it comes to integrity of the samples, now you also have to, as an agent of prosecution, prove that nothing is added, nothing is deleted, and whatever way, in whatever condition the evidence is found in the crime scene, in a similar fashion, in a similar way, its integrity is being protected and the same is introduced in the court of law. So this kind of processes need to be proved in the court only and to the satisfaction. It is for the satisfaction of the court, not your satisfaction. Whatever explanation or whatever basis that you try to give, it should be so convincing to the court that they should accept it without any further question. So it is always to the satisfaction of the court that you need to prove these things. So admissibility is equally important in that case. Then, as I said, DNA tests can also be nowadays performed at the field level. But the only thing is whether they will be successful in profiling or identifying the forensic sample is $1,000 question, because whatever technologies or whatever commercial vendors who are coming in the market, they claim that they can generate the profile of a person within 2 hours. That is, I don't know how far that is believable and all, but when it comes to pure sample, that is from a blood of a person, living person, I have no doubt they may generate. But when it comes to a forensic sample which is contaminated, which is not homogeneous, and which is a mixture always, it will be difficult for us to profile it without any further before processes. So, but then they claim rapid technology, DNA, they claim all this. Miniaturization, as we have already discussed, and all the steps that are involved in DNA profiling are now almost automated. Now, we also have the generation within time factor. If you take within 90 minutes, probably 1.5 hours, you are able to profile the entire genome. And this is something like, swab in, result out. You are introducing the swab in the form of a sample, then within no time, within 90 minutes or so, you are getting the result out. So this is the beauty of the technology. Now, you don't require any scientist or a professional to be there to interpret the results. All that you want is you have generated the report, it is for the investigating officer to further interpret. So you don't require a scientist at that particular level. Now, it is also compatible with most of these swabs, because swabs are also taken from different parts when it is popped, so from different parts of the body and all are also taken. So this procedure or this gadget is also compatible with the other DNA, other swabs also. Now, DNA database, if you want to search, it is very, very compatible with the DNA databases. Now, decision making happens within 2 hours, and nowadays the microchips are also being in the production. Now, the beauty of that is again portability, disposable chips, and what you have to do in that chip is you have to integrate all the processes, right from sampling, onwards, handling, extraction, whatever steps that are there in DNA, all will be in one microchip integrated, so that it drastically reduces the analysis time. So these are the some of the advantages of using rapid field level DNA technologies. I hope I am making some sense. I mean, are you able to understand? Because in between I stopped asking this question, because even if I ask, there will be poor answers, or there will be this thing. So presuming that it is all of you are able to understand, I am proceeding. So in between, if there is any issue, if you are not able to understand a particular word or a particular group of words, you can just stop me at any level and then seek clarification for those words. So this is one machine, very portable. When I was in NPA, I called one of these vendors. They promised me to generate the profile, and they said, bring us some empty visiting cards. So where we'll, on one side, we'll have the details, physical details of this person, officer, like his name, designation, the office in which he's working and all. And the other side, we'll have the profile printed. This was the promise. But to my sudden surprise, it was not all that successful. They were not able to generate any good profile. So that is my experience. Maybe after that, I'm talking about some 5-6 years back thing. But maybe now things have improved. The new vendors are coming with some facilities which will reduce drastically time, and then we are able to generate the profiles in the quickest means of time. Now there are when it comes to principles, how these field deployable devices are working. Now you use a lot of technologies here. You use spectroscopic technologies. I need not reiterate. You must have studied in paper 2, spectroscopic, chromatographic, microscopic, all these technologies. I think you must have already studied. How about spectroscopy? Did you study that in the second paper?
Yes, ma'am.
So you know pretty thing about spectroscopy. I mean, in simple words, it is only interaction. Electromagnetic radiation interacts with the matter, and that brings in some change in the matter, which is so noticeable that it can be measured in some way. And by measuring that emission from the molecule, you are able to understand the characteristic of that particular molecule. This is precisely the phenomena or the principle that is involved in spectroscopic techniques. And some of the field deployable kits also use this particular principle for its usage. Then IR detectors similarly also, I mean, main thing IR detectors used for, whenever a compound has got some functional group. So like we have a lot of functional groups, aldehyde groups, ketone groups, alcohol groups, like that CHO, OH, COO, like that there are a number of functional groups. And this specifically gives you the, the nature of the functional group especially. And it also, it also changes the dipole moment of the molecule, because the bending, stretching of the bonds will happen, and they also rotate. And the rotation of the bonds make one compound which was not otherwise showing a dipole moment, but then after the conversion it may show the dipole moment of the molecule. So there may be change completely in the dipole moment of the molecule. So this is about IR detectors. That means the deployable devices where IR principle is being used. Now these are schematic diagrams. You can understand it's so simple and all. You have already studied it in the paper 2. So this is a schematic representation of the IR imaging. Now Raman spectroscopy is also very, very handy. Now it's so portable and all, can be carried to the scenes, and it works on the interaction with the monochromatic light. We know that when we study laser also can drastically produce monochromatic light. So the electronic structure of the molecule can be understood, and there is a lot of light scattering, and when light is being absorbed, so there is a virtual energy state, and when it comes to the ground level, relaxing, it emits again a photon. Now, the photon light again returns to a different rotational and vibrational energy levels, and this particular difference in the energy levels will result in the formation of an emission of a photon again. Now, that can be monitored. So this is precisely about the Raman spectroscopy, which is now field level. It can be made into a miniature form, and that can be that can be transported to the scenes. Then this is the schematic diagram. There is nothing much to explain. These are all different gadgets, and then one to monitor the photon, and then one to generate this kind of energies, and or there is a laser which will send you the monochromatic light, and whatever the explanation that is given, a schematic representation of the thing is given here. And similarly, frame ionization detectors use the concept of drawing in air samples into a chamber which is now richly filled with hydrogen, and then where the air flame is combusted, and then the combustion process and products which are a result of ions and electrons are detected by using electrode, and at a different potential the combustion jet will be there, and the ions striking the electrode induce a current, and which results in the response. So whatever current that is getting generated, that is taken as a response, and that gives the measure. So these are some of the techniques. You need not bother much about the principle behind, but then understand that different gadgets utilize different principles, and they can be used in the scene. So not every gadget will work on the same principle. Each one of them has their own design and their own principle behind. Now similarly, flame photometric detection is also, especially these are designed to detect the sulfur and the phosphor. Whenever compounds which do contain sulfur and phosphor, they need to be detected, they will be subjected to what is known as the flame photometric detection. Now these will have the fluorescence properties, and then these luminescence is also a kind of a fluorescence only, but luminescence is not long lasting, unlike the other one. Now the photons of different wavelengths are generated, and these are very specific to each type of atom. That means not all atoms will have the similar kind of a structural arrangement. So depending upon the structural arrangement and characterization of the atom, you get the specific wavelengths, and that can be measured always. Then this is the schematic representation of that. And photoionization also is another principle which the devices use, and here also air samples are also drawn into vacuum, and there are almost 2 electrodes, positive and negative, and molecules are irradiated by UV rays here. Now the ionization of the molecules, because of the because of the electrodes, the molecules get ionized, and these ionization molecules is occurring because you are supplying high energy UV light there. Now the application of potential across the cell containing the ionized molecule leads to ion current, and that is also made. When ion current is when ions are generated, or when ion current is generated, that can always be measured. This is simply the photoionization detection. So this is the schematic representation, vapor entering into that, and detector inlet is there, and positive electrode is there, negative electrode is there. Now there is an ion input and there is an amplification. You see there is a inlet for UV lamp for irradiation, for irradiating the molecules. Then ion mobility spectroscopy. This is one more technique. So let us not deeply understand these things. Anyway, these you will be covering up in the paper too. So I am only trying to give you just of this thing. And GCMS, hyphenated technologies are nowadays coming. Now the added advantage of having this MS, that is mass, you will get again a mass analyzer is there, and that will display a plot of abundance versus the mass to charge ratio. That also you will get added advantage of having MS along with the GS. So they are called hyphenated kind of technologies. because if simple GC is there, it is a single thing. But then if you are hyphenating that with the MS, you also get to know the abundance versus the mass to charge ratio. So this is a schematic diagram of that. And there is also GCMS. It can be used to several other purposes, but then the one which is used in the field level has to be little, should not be bulkier and all. So apart from these technologies, there is also sound related, acoustic, when you say it is sound related. Now what it does is, there is a polymer which is being coated with a particular crystal, and these analyte target, which is going to be the target, is, sampled air is reversibly bonded to this particular crystal by a process called sorption. So when it is properly being sorbed into the that crystal, then, and it again depends, the crystal affinity will again depend upon the nature of the organic chemical that you are trying to use. Now once the sorption is completed on the polymer, the electric crystal surface, a particular name is given as piezoelectric crystal surface, a change in the resonant frequency of the crystal occurs and it can be measured. So there is a change in the sound, resonant frequency, and that can be measured. So this is about other technologies that we have, and this is the schematic representation of that. Now when it comes to again, we have done with the field deployable kits almost the principles involved therein, and what is the utility and what should be the design, and what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what is its admissibility criteria, and all we have discussed so far. And now we have to complete the commercial these crime scene kits, and also the mobile laboratories, and of course the tele forensics and all. So starting with the kits and all, so as I told you, there are 3 categories based on their complexity and to what purposes they are used. Basic crime scene kit has got only very ordinary, normal kind of a setup where, something to measure, something to lift, something to handle and all, and some recording gadgets will be there, and some packing material will be. So these kind of preliminary things will be there in any basic crime scene kit. And that means it is mandatory for all the investigating officers at least to carry this basic crime scene kit, because basic evidences will be common to any crime scene. So invariably the IO has to carry this basic crime scene kit. And advanced crime scene kits are those where special occasions, like when you are dealing a digital crime, you may have to have a special kind of a advanced kind of a kit. And specialized kits are meant for, they are tailor made. For example, you want to take a very faint kind of a fingerprint present over there, you may have to use a specialized powder there, you may have to use a special brush over there, or you may have to use some kind of a magnetic powder kind of a thing with a magic wand kind of a brush and all. So these are special kind of crime scene kits. So that is the classification. Now when it comes to, as I told you, basic crime scene kit, it includes the fundamental tools, that is for collection, it may be for processing, or it may be for lifting evidences, or measuring evidences, or taking a photograph of the evidences, or marking the evidences, or if they are not normally visible, you may have to use some alternative lights, some flashlights and all. These are all the basic things that will be there in the basic crime scene kit. And crime scene, so like burglaries, thefts and all, some both your bodily offences as well as the property offences. So this kit is very nominal kit. There is a very fundamental kit, basic kit, which all the IOs are supposed to carry to the scene. Then these are all some of the rulers are there, different kinds of rulers. It can be foldable, isn't it? There are different kinds again. I think when Patil presented, I think you have presented kits only, if I am right, Patil.
Yes, ma'am.
So you must be knowing about these things, and you use it every day in and day out. So nothing is very obscure here, everything is so clear. markers are there, and markers are also different types. It may acquire a conical shape, it may be flat, it may be two-dimensional. Again, as per the imagination of the maker of the kit. Now forensic kits, they are to be nowadays, the police vehicles which are called the mobile labs, they are ensuring that almost all the kits, right from the basic kit to the advanced specialized kits, they are incorporating that into it, and the cost accordingly also will enhance. Some companies they'll sell it for thousands, and some companies they are selling it for crores, depending upon how many kits they have and how many other facilities the mobile van has got. All that is again an added factor. Then some things are optional, some things are mandatory. So, according to the situation, you may have to add these things, you may have to remove some things from the scene. So, like that, these are essentials. High intensity lights, as I said, alternate lights are important. And then latent print, they will be there everywhere. So, you should have some kind of a latent print kit also. And then the sketch pens also, tool kits, and these are all the basic things that a basic kind of IO kit should have. Then more advanced, what do you understand? Now contains additional tools for more complex crime scenes. Components may include casting material. You may encounter some footprints, some shoe or footwear print also. So you should include that also in your, or maybe for DNA collection on swabs and containers, you may have to have a special kind of swabs or this FTA card kind of a thing. Now for blood detection, maybe you may have to have a separate thing, and for saliva detection probably you may have to have a separate kit, and of course digital cameras for measuring devices. And that, what is the applicability? The applicability is that in violent crimes or some special crimes, especially POXO kind of a thing, or sexual assaults, you may have to carry some advanced kits, because it also requires the identification of some digital evidence also, or for that matter some photomorphing may be there, or some obscene material may be there. So for that you may have to have a specialized crime scene tailor-made kit. Then again special type, or like for latent print we have one, arson there is another, ballistic there is, because gunshot residue and all, if you have to know, or if you have to prove that this particular bullet is the hole is an account of the bullet and all. Now for that there are again kits available. Again they are also, depending upon the unique requirement, whatever is your requirement, if you feel that it is essential and unique for that particular situation, you should carry that kind of a kit. Because you cannot just keep everything in one combo type and then make it so bigger that you are not able to carry that to the scene. So instead, depending upon the situation, as the situation demands or warrants, you can you should have the access to all the kits, but whenever it is required, you should be able to use it. Then of course fingerprint kit, there are different kits. Again flashlights are there. For black and white there are different films, there are cards and all of it. Any typical kind of a fingerprint kit, unless you have the access, unless, I think last time also we tried to show you in the lab when you came. I think probably the last day we tried to show you the latent print and reference print taking kit. Almost the same things will be there. Lifters will be there, commercial lifters will be there, and then hinge lifters are there, transparent lifter. There are so many lifters, Then brushes are different brushes. Then these are all brushes, There is nothing to explain here, There are different gadgets, and this is a fuming chamber, Some lightweight kind of articles can be introduced, and then in the field also it is so designed that it is very easy to insert the article and then do this fuming chamber thing. I don't know how many Karnataka are you using this fuming cupboard kind of a thing, Patil?
The one that has been shown in the
cyanoacrylate fuming method, glue method.
No ma'am, no.
That is little, we have that in the NPA, but then I don't know how many states can afford to use that. but it's not so costly. But so these are again self-explained. For ninhydrin and all, which is a component in the sweat and all, I mean it is a amino acid and all will be there as remnants in the blood, and if the latent print a little ages and all, you don't see any water remaining in it, and then when there is no water, the powder method will be a failure. So instead you use some chemical solution methods, and ninhydrin is one such method. So like that, for iodine also there are kits available. This is iodine kit, and the fat or greasy substances that is present in the sweat can also interact with iodine, and then it can also make the latent print visible, little brownish and all. So different lifters again, just to show you that this is how they look. Otherwise there is nothing. As I said, magnetic powders on iron surfaces, you can use that. Then these are different brushes. Camel brushes are there, ostrich brushes are there, different brushes. When each vendor comes up with their own setup, some powders, different powders they bring in. And there may be different kits, one for latent print and other for taking the reference prints. Like that also the vendors are designing. Now cadaver fingerprint kit is something which will be used for the dead bodies, because as the dead body ages, you see that rigor mortis sets in, and there is stiffening of the body, and the muscle flex is so much that you are not able to bend the body, you are not able to roll the finger and all, to make to break the rigor mortis and then make the muzzle is little flexible, and all you use a lot of gadgets, and then you make the finger straighten and try to take the print. So for that there is a special kit that is called cadaver fingerprint kit. So these are again repetition. And tool marks also there are kits, and for trace materials, trace evidences also you have collection things like glass vials, and in case of arson and all you have this paint tins and all, fresh sterile kind of tins and all are there. Calculator and all, this laser, mirror, these are all some of the gadgets that can be used. Very simple to understand. Of course, sexual assault kit also, I think last time when we tried to show also, lot of provision to take swabs, different kinds of oral swabs, anal swabs, and all different kinds of foam tipped kind of swabs and all. And there are so many other small gadgets which will help us. Of course, gloves and all, there is nothing too much to explain, and paper bags and all, they can be used as what you call the packing material. So this is how a typical kind of a DNA sexual assault look like. So gunshot analysis also, there is a separate kit. I mean, each vendor has to increase the aesthetic sense, and also to make it very attractive. Same content will be there with a different nomenclature, with a different appearances and all will be there. Then a combo kit. One kit he'll say without gloves, one kit he'll say including gloves and all. I mean, these are all marketing gimmicks, nothing more than that. Then blood pattern documentation also, you have lot of other gadgets now. So what is the utility? Why are we using these kits after all in the crime scene? Now, as we understand, it is for preservation of the evidence, and because the procedure has to be standardized, so we have kits are providing this kind of an approach, so we are using that. And efficiency, and as far as the procedures are concerned, if you are following the proper SOPs and all, it will avoid false positives and false negatives. At least to some extent the presumptive tests or some fundamental tests can be, primitive tests can be done on that, and then you can weed out the items which require, which are promising for the further confirmation, you can segregate them and you can. And of course, legal admissibility, we have talked about that. The only thing that the judge will try to look at it is whether the procedures followed are correct, whether you, in the process, you added some more contamination, or have you taken enough precautions to avoid breakage of chain of custody. These are the things from legal point of view. If you can amply demonstrate that you have taken enough precaution to ensure all these things, your evidence will definitely be admitted. Then portability and all, we have already discussed enough of that. This is, a typical modern kind of a van with all equipment inside to test for explosives, pre, post. Then you have GSR, then for blood and all. When you name any evidence, it should have the, it should be able to accommodate that particular case. That means it should be little spacious and all, and it should also have some refrigeration. All these, and some microscopes and all, as you can see from the picture. So it should be holistic. And of course, we have this concept in Telangana called CLUES, Crime Laboratory Ultimate Evidence System is the full form of that. Now, it's a novel service that is, forensic service on wheels they are calling. Now, it will not be headed by a police officer, it will be headed by a scientist who is efficiently trained in that particular work, and then who should be a leader, who should be able to mobilize the team and all. Now, data updating is happening, and daily data they'll be able to submit it to the IO, because unless there is data availability to the IO, he will not further proceed. So there is constant day-to-day basis there will be updating to the IO, and whatever equipment that are given, whatever latest things are there, they are given to the CLUES team, and all facilities of communication, transport and dispersal will be provided to them with a nicely designed car and all. They are given all that. So they are now giving a lot of leads to the investigation in all the 3 R's of the crime scene management, whether it be recognizing, whether it be recording, whether it be reconstructing, all the 3 R's of crime scene management. The CLUES terms are effectively functioning, and there is a commendable work which is being rendered by these teams. Now the number of teams are also increased. Earlier it used to be zonal wise, now district wise also they are thinking of increasing the manpower and all. So we have to see whether it will be implemented shortly, or whether it is going to take some more time. Purpose, you can understand that, it's a compact workstation, we can say almost a mini lab kind of a thing inside the van, and services and wheel I have already told you. So it will facilitate the mobility, so you are able to do the real-time analysis, you are able to properly document everything, you are able to integrate everything, and then you are able to send the information, data on a daily basis to the IO concerned, so that it becomes easy for him. Even without coming to the scene, it will be so easy for him to understand, and then have a lot of updates and accordingly change his path of investigation if there need be, and that way they are very, very helpful to the IO. So components, anyway, it is for a special purpose, and when you are expecting a digital crime scene to be evaluated, then accordingly you may have to carry the laptop or tablet or some kind of blockers, right, blockers and all, some mirror imaging tools and all. I mean, these need to be carried. Of course, portable printers are also there, and power supplies, because wherever you go there is no guarantee that you get a power there. So portable power sources also you may have to carry. Then of course, for extraction and for investigating mobile phones, you should have a separate kits and all, where you can extract the data out of that and give the analysis. For that matter, need not be digital evidence, any kind of electronic device, if that is there, the task is how quickly you can extract without manipulating the data and all, and then how you can analyze it further in the lab. So you may have to demonstrate again to the court that enough hash values have been, hash algorithms have been used, and then hash value is verified, and same hash value is there, and all these things have to be demonstrated amply in order to ensure that the evidence that you are introducing gets the full benefit of admissibility. So these are again the repetition, you need not just bother about these things. Most of the time it is only kind of a repetition only. So let us not, and of course these are alternate lights. So most of the biological evidences and all, when they are washed and when they are cleaned, so it will be difficult for the IO to detect them. So wherever there is a suspicion, what one has to do is not only we use a luminol kind of a chemical, but also we use a lot of invisible rays like UV and all, and then with the alternate powerful lights with high resolution, you are able to locate the evidences, you are able to locate the traces, and it will facilitate us to thoroughly search the entire crime scene, even without missing even the smallest of the trace evidences. So these are, see, this is how fluorescent, I mean, you will, when you use anthracene powder kind of a thing on multicolored objects and all, those fingerprints can be developed that can be viewed under ultraviolet light. So these are some of the lights and all. Then live scan technologies are also there, which are heavily used by the police in the investigation. They are very rapid, they are dynamic, and then electronic, the lab in the van and mobile lab, direct forensic interface will be there with the crime scene operators, and fingerprint imaging techniques will be there. I mean, FSL is no longer located nearby. That means, when you have these things, it doesn't matter whether the clue scenes are located in the vicinity of the lab or is it far away from the team and all. I mean, it should hardly matter. The automation of fingerprinting technology, wireless transfer of mark images from crime scene. I mean, this is only portability. It is, automation is talking about the portability. Once you take an image of the print in the scene of a chance print, you can seamlessly send it across to the investigating officer sitting in his own office attending to some other work. He is able to access the chance prints, he is able to see them properly, and he is able to further plan his actions and all. Then XCAT is one kind of a portable kind of a device, very, very handy. But the beauty of this particular technique is that, in one go with different cartridges, as they are called, you are able to identify narcotics, you are able to identify the GSR, a number of evidences can be identified by using this particular XCAT. Now, as I have given here, narcotics, explosives, GSR, all these three kinds of incriminating materials can be detected by using the XCAT. Now, it doesn't require any interpretation. There is no color chart that is provided with it. You need not spray any chemical and all. You need not expose to any chemical. It is rugged. It can be best suited for field use, and library can be expandable. Unlike some gadgets, where I have discussed this in the last class also, a limited library is there, and whenever a new element or a new molecule is being detected, your library is not coming to a risk because it is outdated and there is no way that you can update it. So unlike other field gadgets, this kind of a XCAT is so designed that the library is expandable. That means you need not again spend money to update your library. Now, rechargeable lithium-ion battery is there. That means once you charge it for 8 to 10 hours, it's going to be there. It is not going to discharge. Then optical detection is the method, and time to analyze is few seconds to few minutes, and consumable sampling card. That means, as I said, they are called cartridges. For different materials you have different cards, and just to tell that it is so rugged, it can operate effectively between 0 to 49. That means 49 is the maximum somebody can expect temperature, and 0 is the ice formation is there. So that is the wide range of operation of the XCAT, and it is so lightweight that you can also carry it in your palm. And battery life is 7 to 8 hours continuous. Even if you use it continuously, it is going to last for 8 hours. So once you completely charge it, it will long last for 8 to 10 hours. So these are all the advantages of the XCAT, and this is how it looks like. So it is able to detect narcotics, explosives, and you can see that there is a red a button kind of a thing. You just insert, there is a slot to insert the cartridge. So cartridges are there, different cartridges for 3 different kind of examinations, and all that you need to do is dab that cartridge, remove that plastic thing, dab the cartridge onto the incriminating material, and along with that you insert that cartridge into the slot that is given here. Now press it, and then press that, activate the button, and there is a color change from green to red, red to green. So that will indicate whether the incriminating material is present or absent in the sample. So of course robotics and all new technologies, as I said, an arson investigation is such a tedious one, and then when the fumes are reaching to a very great height, humanly it is not possible for anybody. So the arson or in explosion also are some mass disasters. You will see lot of flames, lot of fumes coming and all. So humanly it will be not possible for anybody, including the investigating officer, to enter into such an hazardous environment and then do the analysis or do the investigation. Now in that the robotics are helping us to a great extent, and there are autonomous vehicles, and then they can go into the scene and then they collect with the help of the hydrocarbon sniffers and all, they are able to collect the material also. Then we have lot of things, computer aided drafting, either CAD, global positioning systems where you can locate the place and all, and geographic information, GIS is there, and total station surveying systems are there. So these are all measurement kind of things where you want to measure, the distances between the points in the crime scene and all. They are very handy, and they are able to give you the location and all. Then of course GPS and all, I need not tell you about GPS anyway. GIS systems, then reconstruction and all. I think when you have gone to Gujarat, most of you must have seen this, Pharaoh, they have come up with 3D imaging of the entire crime scene, and there is a tripod stand over there, and it has got a rotating kind of a camera, and this camera, high resolution camera, is going to capture the images of all the crucial points that are there in the crime scene. And the beauty of this is this can be integrated into 3D images, 2D images can be integrated into 3D images, photographs can be integrated again into 3D images, and all. This kind of a facility is also there. So a better reconstruction happens if you use new gadgets like this. The Pharaoh laser scanners. So this is, again benefits are very many. Now it is simple, and then complete recording of the current condition of the surveyed material will be there real time, and it is able to capture the 3D data. Then volume, structure, topography, these are the parameters that can be recorded, and only thing is, all that you have to do is just mount that camera, rotating camera on a stand, and then allow it to take rounds, and then it is going to capture the images of the all points, crucial points in the crime scene. And PC crash is also, it is there, it's a kind of a software is also there. The point of impact, and from the point of impact where the vehicle has halted and all, and then which direction that is coming. All is, PC crash, there is a kind of a model for crashes and all has been developed. Then portable Raman we have already discussed. Then handheld explosive trace detectors are also like your hydrocarbon sniffers. We also have these trace detectors whereby you can detect the explosive traces, especially when you are talking of post explosive scenarios. So there you may have to understand the chemical nature of the remnant that is present, and advantages are understandable. So you can detect both explosives, drugs in seconds, and lot of internal automation of automatic internal calibration. Otherwise, all these gadgets, they need to be subjected to calibration, because when you are using any measure, any equipment which can be used for measurement, so naturally the defense question will be whether your machine is a trusted one, or is it going to show some false positive, some false negative. And if you can have some certificate to show that yes, I have done the calibration recently, and this is the tolerance level and all, this is the calibration, plus or minus 1, or within the permissible limits. If you can demonstrate to the court, they will also believe. But the beauty of this is, it has got its own internal automatic calibration thing. Now, touch screen facility is there, non-radioactive ion sources are there, rapid clean down processors are involved, low cost things are also involved with this handheld kind of explosive trace detectors. So teleforensics, I think I will take up in some other class. I think this is the only thing left. Rest of the things anyway, they are so routine, and you have already seen when you came to the Pune Academy, you have already seen all these kits, and also there is not much to explain and all. Only thing is you have to just see that, and when you start using that, you will understand more about it. So I think for today that's all.